Now, yesterday I done a video about the former disgraced Prime Minister Liz Truss, and I showed you guys how she is quite possibly the worst Prime Minister the UK has ever had. And in this clip, we're going to see her confronted by Lewis Goodall, who I personally believe is one of the best journalists that we have in the United Kingdom. He actually confronts her over at CPAC, and you literally see her run away because she doesn't like when she's confronted. As usual, let's watch the clip in full. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts, my commentary, and my perspective towards the end. Let's get into it.
You said yesterday that there is Islamism in Britain. There isn't. Why are you lying about Britain? Why are you slagging Britain off, Liz Truss? We are in Dallas. We are at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, which is the heart of the modern American conservative movement. It is a place where conservative and sometimes very extreme ideas are debated. It's the heart of MAGA. And I'm currently watching, on the stage, Liz Truss, the former British Prime Minister, talking about the deep state and the rise of Islamism in the UK, talking about how we are increasingly having to worry about the rise of Sharia law in the UK.
We've allowed Islamism to grow in our country, and that is the fundamental problem. And now I have called for a Trump-style revolution. That is what we need in Britain. That is what we need in Europe, because most people in our country don't agree with all this stuff. They want to have a family, they want to buy a house, they want a nice car, they want to go on holiday, they want to live in a Christian country. They don't want their country taken over.
Liz Truss, hi, have you got 2 minutes for the newsagents? Why not? We want to ask you why you've been spreading lies about Britain. You said yesterday that there is Islamism in Britain. There isn't. Why are you lying about Britain? Why are you slagging Britain off, Liz Truss? You say you love ideas, Liz Truss.
Gentlemen, she don't want to speak with you, please.
Well, apparently Liz Truss doesn't want to talk to us. Despite the fact that she's been going around the last couple of days, including at this conference, saying that Islamism is backing the government, for which there is no evidence, and she says that there is Sharia law in Britain, and that's a problem. Also a complete lie. That famous ideological warrior, once again, deciding that she doesn't want to talk to anyone who disagrees with her. But there we go.
So I wanted to show you guys that clip simply because the reality is someone like Liz Truss, we know the exact reason why she's doing what she's doing at the moment. And whenever she's confronted by anyone who's actually going to push back, that's actually going to question her on the things that she's trying to say, she's trying to claim, we know that she's going to run away, because this is what she always does. She always runs away. Now, just for those of you that are watching the video that don't know who Liz Truss is, let me give you guys a bit of an overview of her time as the Prime Minister here in the United Kingdom. Okay, let's go through it. So she absolutely destroyed the country. She destroyed the United Kingdom, and she managed to do it in 45 days. She is the shortest serving prime minister in the history of the United Kingdom. And within those 45 days, let me run you through what she actually done. She announced a £45 billion in unfunded tax cut with no economic assessment whatsoever. She scrapped the planned corporation tax rise, and she also cut the top rate of income tax for the wealthy. So as you can see, by these things that she was trying to do, she was trying to obviously cater to the rich and to the wealthy, and in doing that, she destroyed the United Kingdom. Now let's go over the actual damage that it is that she caused. The pound crashed to near record lows against the dollar. Mortgage rates spiked and hundreds of deals were pulled overnight. Pension funds nearly collapsed, and the Bank of England had to step in with an emergency £65 billion payout. And the IMF publicly told the UK to reverse its own policies, which is something that is deeply and massively embarrassing. She sacked her own chancellor after 38 days, then reversed nearly everything he'd done, and then she resigned within 45 days. Like I said, the shortest serving prime minister in history. Now, all she does now is blame everybody else at the simple fact that it is that she wasn't able to get her agenda across. And then after then doing that, she then turns around and she now goes on this tour of the United States to try and dismantle and try and speak negative about the United Kingdom. But the reality is this: all the things that she's doing and saying are just mere lies. The fact that she's going over to CPAC and she's trying to insinuate that Islamism is taking over the United Kingdom, it's merely just a lie. And that's the reason why when Lewis Goodall confronted her, she didn't have anything to say. She couldn't push back. She couldn't even speak to him. She couldn't, because she knows what she's doing. She knows she's lying, and she knows that she cannot speak to anyone who's going to push back, because she knows who Lewis Goodall is. She knows who the news agents are. And she knows that she's going to have to lie to try and put her point across. Let me give you guys some statistical facts when it comes to Islam and Muslims in the United Kingdom. 6% of the population are Muslims here in the United Kingdom. Okay, 6%. 4 million out of around 66 or 67 million people are Muslim. You can't take over a country at 6%. Now, nowhere in the UK is governed by Sharia law, and no major party calls for it at all. Sharia councils aren't courts. They're non-binding advisory boards, just like I believe the Jewish have Beth Din courts, and they've existed here for centuries. The exact same thing. So why is Liz Truss not saying that Jewish people are taking over the UK? Because they're not. It's just not true. Most of the Muslims that are here were born here. Over half of them are British Muslims, and they're UK born. They're British. And they feel British. Polls show 86 to 93% of British Muslims report a strong sense of belonging to Britain. And the far right, they fake it, and they do this and give extreme examples from tiny minorities, and then they present them as the norm. That's what they do. And that's exactly what they do, because they know it appeals to their base. The same way Liz Truss goes over to the United States and she appeals to the right and the far right, because she knows that she can tell them lies and they're just going to eat it up. But this is no shock. This is no surprise. This is how the right act, and this is how the far right act. If Liz Truss knew what she was talking about and she was confident to stand on it, she'd at least be willing to face someone like a Lewis Goodall. You know, there are some people that are on the far right that I dislike, but I know that they would actually stand on what it is that they're saying, because they believe it. Even though it's a lie, they will still stand on it. This is why Liz Truss is an absolute embarrassment, but it should be no shock or no surprise at all. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this clip down in the comment section below. Hype up the video, give the video a thumbs up, and subscribe if you're interested in a perspective and commentary from a Brit who is interested in everything to do with American politics. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next clip.